How's it going, everyone? Got some notable Stellar Blade updates to take you guys through in this video. We've got an interesting note about Stellar Blade, and almost an admission, really, it was an admission about one of Stellar Blade's flaws, but an element that is going to be worked on in the sequel. So we'll talk about that. I want to go over the full patch notes on the patch that did drop alongside the Complete Edition. Speaking of the Complete Edition, the listings are live on the PlayStation Store, have been live for a few days, so we'll go over that. And I do want to take a look at the end of this video on the Steam charts and the data of this game. I don't know if you guys are on social media at all, however, it is very obvious to see that some people, and I do think it is more so a minority, I really think most people are just happy about this game's success, but it's obvious that there are some people that are a little bit upset about this game being as successful as it is for obvious reasons. I'm not gonna go on an unhinged rant on this video, but I will talk about this game's success and one of the elements of the game's success at the end of this video for those of you that don't care about numbers and data all too much. Although, for a new IP like this, I do feel like numbers and data should be at the forefront because, first of all, you want a game like this to be successful. Second of all, you want to learn something from the success of a new IP and a new IP resonating at this level. But with that being said, let's get started. Shift Up CEO and Stellar Blade director admits the story is a bit lackluster. Hey, an admission like that, which was an actual issue of the game, I think is great. Cutscene costs and several world-building scenes were removed, prioritizing gameplay in the early stages of development. According to KHT, they barely managed to complete the game. He also acknowledges that they relied on cliched topics such as the AI and humanity. He believes the sequel will feature a more serious story. Noting, CEO Kim Hyung-tae noted, "First of all, I sincerely thank you for loving the PC version. I think it's true that this story is weak. The game's core play system was completed relatively early, but the thing that held us back was the cutscenes. In an action game that carries the narrative, cutscenes play a very important role in storytelling. It's difficult to convey the entire story with action alone. That is why we have to carry the narrative through cutscenes, but at first we tried to make a lot of settings and cutscenes. In the early stages of development, we plan to include detailed settings such as the reason the main character changes clothes in the story. However, as production progressed, the cost of producing cutscenes became too much, and eventually, for the sake of efficiency, we had no choice but to reduce cutscenes that supplemented the worldview or character narratives outside of the main plot. That's how we were barely able to complete the game. It's also because the development manpower pool or system for narrative-centered games has not been fully yet established in Korea." Understandable reasoning there, and honestly, that level of transparency and just the admission, not deflecting, being like, "Nah, bro, you just didn't get the story." No, being like, "Hey, we realized that this was a shortcoming." The admission of that is so great because guess what? This game was a success anyway. It did incredibly well, and now they already have pinpointed something that they obviously heard the feedback of, and they're gonna develop upon that in the sequel. Continuing, it is true that there were some shortcomings in the narrative in that regard, and if we hastily supplemented this part in Stellar Blade now, it may clash with the story that users have accepted so far, so we are cautious. However, if we are given the opportunity to create the next work, I think we will be able to present it with a sufficiently rich narrative. Obviously, there's some issues with translation and things of that, but they also noted we are of course considering the possibility of collaboration with Project Spirit or other projects. However, since it has been a year since the release of Stellar Blade, the plan may change fluidly depending on how we balance supporting existing titles and preparing for the next work. Stellar Blade will have a fully featured sequel, and the fact that they have already said, and they're coming out and pretty much saying, "Hey, we know the story was weak. There were reasonings for the story being weak, but if given another opportunity, we'll develop that even more." And now you have the foundation of the gameplay set in place. You would think more focus could be placed on the story, and this level of transparency, again, coming off the heels of, the hoopla with the Complete Edition being the only way to get the Nikkei crossover DLC in terms of, the content in the Nikkei game itself, and them having a response immediately to that, giving this level of transparency, I think is so great. And I mentioned it in a previous video, I forget which video, but I remember like Randy Pitchford recently in a video, or in a tweet talking about Borderlands and what metric you should use to gauge a game's success, and that metric supporting that Borderlands 3 is better than Borderlands 2, and it's just like, bro, stop coping. No, hardly anyone thinks Borderlands 3 is better than Borderlands 2, but you know what, maybe there are people out there, but in this case, it's just nice to see this level of admission being like, hey, yeah, we know the story was not the best part about the game, but we are hoping to do better in the sequel, and that's all I really want, and this level of transparency, I think, goes a long way. I think Arrowhead was given a lot lot of credit last year with their level of transparency, and now I give a lot of credit to Shift Up as well for this level of transparency. All right, moving on from that. Quickly do want to go over, for those of you that have yet to revisit the game post the new update that has dropped, update 1.011 does drop a lot of stuff. Boss Challenge mod has been added, available after the first play. Defeat man to acquire 1 new outfit for Eve. New cosmetics can be acquired during gameplay. 25 new outfits and 9 new accessories for Eve. Also, this kind of went a little bit under the radar. The digital art book is available after completing the first playthrough. Yes, there's a new digital art book that after you beat the game, you get access to that. So that's pretty cool. Photo mode improvements and new features have been added. 3 new facial expressions for Eve, 4 new poses for Eve and Lily. Preset saving function added. Up to 6 lights can now be used. 3 new BGM tracks, The Lullaby of Secret, Just Fine, and Blur have been added to the turntable and are available for listening at the camp. Lip sync for Chinese voiceover is now supported. Japanese voiceover can now be selected in all regions. Key mapping functionality has been added for the DualSense controller, and a fall prevention feature has been added. Can be toggled on and off via the options to enhance the platforming experience, and various other bug fixes have been rolled out. That is the 1.011 update. And then, of course, if you do want to buy the game for the first time, there is the Stellar Blade Complete Edition that is $90. Honestly, you guys, I would not be paying $90 for the Complete Edition. It's $80 on PC, first of all, and you can get it discounted to like $70 on various e-tailers. But on top of that, Stellar Blade, the base game, does go on sale for like $49, and at some point, the Complete Edition should go on sale for like $50 later this year. Like, that's the price point I would pay for the Complete Edition. That'll get you the Goddess of Victory Nikke DLC, the crossover DLC, which is priced at $9.99 separately. Then there is the Nier Automata DLC listed, that's $9.99, but now there's also the Twin Expansion Pack bundle, which gets you both DLCs, the Nier Automata DLC and the Nikke DLC for $17.99, so you'll save a little bit going that way. However, there's also another piece of DLC, the Deluxe Pack DLC, and that'll be $9.99. It includes a variety of in-game items and things of that nature. That was what was available with the Digital Deluxe Edition when the game initially came out, but if you do buy the Complete Edition, that does come with the Digital Deluxe Edition content. So you pay $90, but you get the Twin Expansion Pack and the Digital Deluxe content, the outfit CD key, the Planet Diving Suit, and the Fluffy Bear pack for the drone. So that's how the game is separated as far as the listings. Guys, the Twin Expansion Pack isn't even necessary. Is it cool content? Yes, but the base game is perfectly serviceable. But I see a lot of people that are getting this game on PC going the route of getting the Complete Edition, because who would have thunk it? That's what happens when you build a lot of goodwill with your audience, that even if the content isn't, you know, incredibly game-changing, the fact is they already know they're getting a high-quality game with Stellar Blade, that they're like, hey, I'll drop the extra $20 and I'll get the Complete Edition with the bonus content. Even if it's not game-changing content, it's extra content that I want because I like the game so much, and goes a long way. That's what happens when you build goodwill with your audience. If this just came out as a new IP, unknown studio, so on and so forth, releasing a Complete Edition for $90 might be a little bit of a hard seller, you know, $80 on PC, but the fact is Shift Up is now established and they've spent all of this time building goodwill. It's this metric that you really can't quantify. Goodwill, a metric that Ubisoft and many other publishers have completely nuked. But, you know, studios like Shift Up, your Sandfall Interactives of the world, your Game Sciences of the world, they've done a really good job cultivating this goodwill that whenever they now release a product, they're gonna get enhanced interest and heightened interest. It's like how Sandfall is releasing these physical copies of Expedition 33 and people are running out to buy them because now that goodwill has been established, it's been built, and there is that level of attachment towards these studios where you'll drop the premium to get the Complete Edition or so on and so forth. But lastly, I do want to note the Steam charts because it is a data set that is being analyzed so much. The game has, as of the recording of this video, peaked at 188,000 all-time players, to the disappointment of many people. You know, there are a lot of people, based on how Eve looks like, based on the type of game that Stellar Blade is, don't want this game to do well. The new cope is the fact that, hey, there's a large portion of people playing this game out of Asia, and you guys gotta remember, those people don't count to some people. However, even if you want to say that 60% of the audience playing this game, oh, that's just Asian purchases, so that doesn't count. The purchases out of China, that doesn't count. if 60%, and that's a significant number, and I think the real number is probably less than that, but let's say 60% is coming out of Asia or wherever, that would still leave Stellar Blade with 75,000 concurrent players, which is an incredibly successful number, and it would be just shy of Ghost of Tsushima, but like I said, 60% is probably too big of a stretch, and on top of that, those are sales of the game. That's still a lot of money that was made, and right now, as of the recording of this video, again, 188k is the peak, but that could go up. It could be by the time you guys are watching this, it cracked 190, 195k, but again, that's a little bit of a coat from people wanting to downplay the success of this game, and how about that, a new IP doing this? Well, kind of funny what happens when you do a new IP, and you do a game that your target demographic will actually have interest in. Funny how those things work, and remember, this game is still with these numbers, 6xing Last of Us Part 2, 6xing Spider-Man 2, 3xing Spider-Man 2018, and over 2xing like God of War 2018, 6xing God of War Ragnarok. It's insane the numbers this game is pulling, and you know, you can find whatever cope you want, and I know the majority of people watching this video aren't going to be in that category where they really desperately don't want this game to do well, but trust me, it is out there, and I've seen the articles. I'm just not trying to have an unhinged meltdown right now covering that, since I value the few remaining brain cells I have left. But that'll do it for me. Again, Stellar Blade, a lot of updates. Stellar Blade 2, looking like they're gonna put some emphasis on the story, which you love to see. Went over the patch notes, the PlayStation Store listings, and the Steam charts. Very, very successful. Again, I thought it would be good if this game cracked 50,000 concurrent players, and then when you get over to north of 70,000, that's an excellent number, and now north of 188k for a game that was released on a 1-year delay, a brand new IP, an unknown studio as well. The numbers are absolutely outstanding. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.